Salutations upon all points of the shining triangle. The flower of life pattern. As in sacred geometry, which seems to be the new theme of the month in Art Church, which is funny because it's always the theme of mine in Art Church, or always in general. I think I said before that the body of light is my sole focus in life, but that's only because I draw the flower constantly. And as far as I can tell, that is what the flower of life is alluding to the most, is the relationship of mind, matter, and spirit. So that as much as you talk about sacred geometry being physical, the proof that the spiritual creates the physical, it also is proof of the physical being connected to the spiritual. It works both ways. Anyway, though, for me, and as far as I could tell, what it originally was, the flower of life pattern is a language. The images contained within it have specific, not like syntax, but okay, so the first circle and then the second circle create Vesica Pisces, which contains the way that the pattern is set up. Once you study it long enough, anything you can draw within any given circle or a part of the pattern can be drawn within a Vesica Pisces. So basically the idea of light comes in from two circles connecting. And this goes to the idea of a circle being a mind, and a mind being a frequency or sine wave. And two of them coming together creates the pattern that makes light a thing. Within the flower of life, we have an image that if you extend all these circles, you'll get this image, that where the green clover-like edges, that's how far them circles go out, which the points would be the fruit. But the 6 circles for the outside of the fruit are not contained, but the points within are, so each of the platonic solids can be drawn. But the fact that the 6 circles are missing is, if you draw the circle, the pattern, it's basically telling you to fill it in. It's a clear missing pieces. And as far as I can tell, that's because that is where humanity is in creation. The Elohim, the many minds that work together create the conditions on earth that lead to humanity. They create life in their image. This is the image. Like DNA itself is a pattern that builds on itself, not unlike the flower of life. So the idea of changing your perception to change reality is linked to this idea of mind and matter being in like a sympathetic type of connection where you're getting feedback from the world, but you're also giving input into it, like an algorithm in a computer. The more videos of more Karen videos you watch, say, the more Karen videos are going to come up in your feed. The more comedy videos you watch, the more comedy videos are going to come up in your feed. The music you listen to on your whatever app begins to pick music like it, or you pick a station that filters out other music. So this shows a center of reality that is being added onto. So you always have a circle to work with. You're always adding. What you're adding isn't new, but the amount. Okay, the tree is contained within the first 3 circles. So the set might be like the first 7 circles that create the seed. The seed contains the tree. That's what's within each one of these is representing a tree within it. Each of these is a pathway of a tree. So not only is it alluding to language, the way that the Hebrew letter is put on the tree, you can actually write things depending on the path you draw, like outright, but the scale you draw the tree on contains different amounts of information. So if you were simply talking about 10 points connected by 22 lines, you only need the seed, because the 10 points and the 22 paths are perfectly contained within that image. You can go on to a scale just above the fruit or beyond it to get something like this. A step beyond that, or 2 rather, a few steps beyond that gives you this pattern. The same tree, the same pattern, the same 10, but within the pattern you begin to see more, I keep saying information, and that's vague, but it's the only way, it's the easiest way for me to describe it. There's ideas of faces contained within the tree. A greater face, a lesser face, a bearded face. In fact, this is an idea of a face on the tree. But basically you would sit and meditate on an image that you draw, and then you begin to see the images within it. And what begins to happen is the spaces between the images have images within themselves. So you can see these arrows here pointing in, and the scale that they're at, and where these circles sit, the concentric circles, you can see where and how they line up. That shows a level of like uniformity to the pattern. That sounds vague. But one of the things I noticed within this pattern, from just sitting with it for a long time, was that this sits up, the body sits here, and these hands could fit right here. opened up with, and Alex often puts an eye within the hand. These geometries have that perfectly contained within them. Standing down, like Sophia's eyes in her hand would line up perfectly here. And then these, where Christ has things on the side of him and hers are holding. It's just interesting to see in Alex's work. It's like what I see in the pattern. Yeah, it's like what I see in the pattern. And it goes for not just the bodies, but the universal pictures. So you can sort of see, where is it? I noticed this just by accident, having my thing. So you see the head here, which is the fountainheads, and this is the fountain, the chalice. That's what That's what this represents. Waters filling up the cup of the supernals, cup of Hermes, or whatever. Do you see? Oh, mercy. Do you see how they line up? You helping, Puddles? The nose sticking out. And this would continue to go up and then bloom right around up in here. So each of the blooms, the fruits would happen up in here. So the Gaping Lotus experience. Dig it? It's perfect. So the flower of life pattern is a pattern that is showing the many minds coming together to create the one reality, which is the body of life.